Allison, it's so good to finally meet you in person.
Off of Zoom.
Zooms,
or Google Meet. I think it's Google Meet. It's Google Meet.
Listening
Google
to you on my Spotify and my Apple Music, and now we finally get a chance to sit down and make waves.
Oh, riding the waves with Dave.
There we go. Yeah. There we go. So I'm just gonna warn our audience. This is gonna get super punny. This is going to, things are gonna rhyme.
Now the pressure's on. Pressure's on.
So we're just gonna let it fly. So for those of you all who are not aware of the amazing talent that's sitting across from me, Allison Charney, a renowned, legendary soprano, dating back to
the Stone Ages.
Not the Stone Ages. I was going to say glory days.
Glory days.
With the Metropolitan Opera, and eventually starting your career with.
Well, only the competition at the Metropolitan Opera.
Okay.
To be clear, but I did the Metropolitan Opera competition, and when I was in New York City competing.
Yes.
When I didn't make it to the very final round,
yes.
But New York City Opera, just across the corner on the plaza there at Lincoln Center, called me up for a stage audition, which I did the next day, and then I got a contract there.
That is a hell of a place.
It was an exciting beginning. A lot of really important opera singers got their start at New York City Opera. At the time, it was really thought of as sort of a place that offered a real opportunity for young, up-and-coming American singers. On a really big platform in Lincoln Center in New York City at the heart of classical music. It
Absolutely.
was a very exciting and vibrant place to be.
Okay, well, and you're still in New York, right?
I am. I still live very close by.
All around the world, have sang everywhere, have performed in so many different places, so many legendary opera houses and theaters around the world, and you still come back to New York.
I live at the same bus stop I grew up at.
Wow.
Let's say M104 bus stop.
Full circle. Allison from the block. and
they call me H-Arn. Nobody's ever called me that.
I told you, we're flowing.
I want a really cool nickname. Maybe by the end of this, we're going to come up with
We might come up with one.
I need some aura.
Okay.
Oh,
are we
for
aura
my
farming?
kids.
Is that what's happening
farming?
here?
Is that a thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God. I hope my children hear this. I'm aura farming.
Aura
boys.
farming.
Yeah.
So aura, you can't just have aura bestowed upon you.
I see.
You have to farm it.
Oh, wow. That feels so purposeful as opposed to just like organically aura.
Yeah,
around.
no.
Okay.
I guess those who truly have aura, perhaps it comes from within. They don't have to farm. Yeah. The rest of us,
I'll farm.
We got to farm. We got to pull out the hose and the rakes and all of that and figure it out, get it out the mud. So, and what brings us, I guess, together in this moment in this season? You are in LA promoting your new album, Alike, My Mother's Dream.
Yes.
Okay.
This is true.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, I guess, the inspiration for the album, and just what this journey and experience has been like, because I know that this is not just a New York to LA story. This is a global story.
Yeah. So the album, Like My Mother's Dream, is really my response to my mother's lessons that she taught us. She's still alive.
Okay.
I think she's getting a dead rap from the title of this and the way I talk about it. I keep having to stress my mom is totally fine and here, and very much involved in my life. She taught us that we should focus on what makes us alike rather than what divides us. And she has lived her life seeking out the other and engaging in difficult conversations and trying respectfully to listen to other people and really learn from what they have to say, even if it conflicts with her worldview. And she really believes that that's important and that listening is really important. There's a lot wrong with the world right now. And this album is not meant to be any sort of a political statement at all. No politics. It's above politics. It's uber politics. I don't know what to say about it, but it's about humanity, which I think of as being sort of down here as opposed to politics. Or maybe it's the other way around. Politics are down here and humanity is up here. Maybe that's right. I would
say that in today's society, humanity is inherently political.
Yes, but on this album, it is not. Because what I'm trying to say with this, on the album, there are two sections of it, the way I think of it, even though it's not divided that way by track. but there are the two country pairs. There's a piece composed by a Russian, one by a Ukrainian, one by an Iranian, and one by an Israeli. And they all exist right next to each other on this album because I believe that they should exist together. The composers believe they should exist together, and I believe we all belong together on planet Earth.
Right.
Then there are three orchestral anchors, I'm calling them. One is Dvorak's songs my mother taught me, which kind of explains itself in the title for why I included it. Another is a piece by Amy Beach.
Okay.
Amy Beach has come into great favor. She's a woman classical composer, which is uncommon. She lived at the turn of the last century. When she married, she was a great concert pianist. And when she married Mr. Beach, she was not allowed to play piano anymore because it wasn't appropriate for married women to play piano in public.
Wow.
And so she had to stop. And she couldn't stop being a musician. She could, young people often talk to all of us about should they go into music? And my answer is, if you can imagine doing anything else, do that, right?
Absolutely.
Why would you do this to yourself? Don't do this. But if you can't help yourself, that's when you must be a musician. And Amy Beach couldn't help herself. And so she and her husband came to an understanding that she could become a composer because that would be behind the scenes and nobody would see her.
Wow.
And she became a shockingly important composer, given that she was a woman in the time that it was in classical music. In fact, hers was the first symphony composed by a woman that was performed by the Boston Symphony Orchestra.
Wow.
So this piece of hers, Jephthah's Daughter, she wanted a specific soprano to sing it. It's for soprano and orchestra, as you'll hear it on the album. Yep. And she traveled to France, where the soprano lived. And in those days, 1907, it took a while to do all. It wasn't just like tomorrow I'll be in France.
No Jet 2 holidays.
Yeah. And she had a meeting with the soprano. The soprano loved it. They agreed they would do it. She went back to the United States. The soprano had the one and only handwritten manuscript. Wow. She put it in a trunk for safekeeping. World War I broke out. The German army seized the trunk, and the music was lost to humanity for over 100 years. It was uncovered very recently. I got my hands on it. I had it transcribed for orchestra. It's pretty neato. And this is, I had hoped we would be the very first recording of it.
Yeah.
There is one more that's floating around, but we are the first recording in English. And this is the English that Amy Beach herself wrote. She wrote these words.
That is fascinating. That's like a lost gospel or something like that.
Yeah, it's very, very, I mean, as a like nerdy classical musician, it's so exciting. I've been a huge fan of Amy Beach. In fact, I was performing Amy Beach on my graduate school recitals. Yeah. Years ago. A really, really long time ago.
A few weeks.
Yeah. Decades and decades ago. So I've always loved Amy Beach. Always. Actually, sometimes she's called Mrs. H.H.A. Beach on her compositions. Yeah. And it is beyond thrilling to be able to have brought this into the world and to people's minds. I'm hoping that young musicians at conservatories will hear it and want to perform it. It's a big piece to perform. It's a big orchestra, so it's expensive. It's just not easy.
Absolutely.
You can't just throw it together.
Absolutely.
But it is so worthwhile. And so my point in including that, going back to that, is here is something that could have been lost forever.
Absolutely.
As collateral damage when we don't get along. Look what happens. War breaks out, and the great beauty and art and music are lost, maybe forever. And that is a consequence that is not worth it to me.
I have to unfortunately let you know that level of intention with your artistry is absolutely political because of that exact statement. Again, and it's also psychological, right? If sheet music is lost to World War I, did it ever exist?
Right, like if it falls in the tree falls in the forest. I mean,
did the music ever exist?
And what value is it if we can't hear it?
From a publisher's perspective, this is actually fascinating. This past weekend, and now I'll date this episode officially, but this past weekend was the Guild of Music Supervisors Conference out here in Los Angeles. And so one of the things that I love about that opportunity to speak with, again, music supervisors of all ages, all demographics, is getting a little bit of perspective about how music is accessed and how it was pushed and promoted and marketed by publishers with different technological, you know, situations. And so our history dates back to, you've got sheet music, and you know a young plucky composer, you've got sheet music, and you're going to the theater company to try and make a placement. And so if literally the sheet music is gone,
Yeah,
that intellectual property doesn't exist.
Well, I wasn't,
except for up here.
I wasn't gonna. This piece isn't one of the ones that I'm not gonna finish my last thought, because that makes me think of another piece on the album,
Okay.
which is the Barvinsky piece, Song of Songs. So Barvinsky was a Ukrainian composer. He's a hero in Ukraine. Nobody here has ever heard of him. So that's
Wow.
another one. I'm so excited to bring him to the fore here. And he was imprisoned in a Soviet gulag for 10 years, starting in 1948. And while he was there, every single manuscript, and remember, people are just handwriting their manuscripts.
Right.
There's no finale or whatever people are, Sibelius. It's just by hand. His entire life's work was burned. And when he got out of prison, he had very few years left in his life, but he spent every minute of those last few years recreating all of his life's work, including this piece, which survived that memory.
Wow.
And so bringing this to life, and this is
Right.
really the first time, because it existed before this for soprano, violin, and piano, and we turned it into a full orchestra score. So it's now soprano and orchestra with solo violin and solo harp. Again, a big piece to put on,
Yeah.
but at least we have it recorded and people can hear it. It's really a beautiful piece.
And it is.
And I mean, regardless of our performance of it, it in and of itself is a beautiful piece and should be heard and should be performed. And thank goodness he was able to save it from using his memory after it had been burned. But that's it could have just been gone. Did it exist then?
Right. No. And even to your point about, if you have a song that you can't get away from, or that you have to make, it's going to get made, through you, around you, with you, one way or the other. And that's an example of that.
Well, and the great thing about somebody like you and Waves, and I really mean this, is, so you make it, and then what? Somebody has to help you get it out into the world.
It's a fact.
And if you don't give people a platform, if you don't try to push their music out into the world, what good is it?
Yeah, no,
I mean,
the intellectual part of intellectual property, right? It's just up here. Yeah.
And all artists need a platform, or two, or three, or four.
That's a fact.
And it's hard. It's hard to break through the field of noise to get your stuff out there. So it's super important.
No, thank you.
What you're doing on
Thank
every
you.
level.
I want to ask you a question that when you say that, tell me a little bit about your journey getting to this place. And now, again, let's just go ahead and tell it on the mountain. Not only have you just released Alike, My Mother's Dream, but it is also the number 11 album on the top classical charts on Billboard.
So weird. It's so great.
Let's just.
I mean, and that comes from, right, the way they come up with those numbers is how many people are listening and how many people are buying it. And so I'm super grateful to everybody who has listened and bought it, because that is, you make that happen. I don't make that happen. You make that happen. And I'm grateful. I don't know how many times my mom must have bought it.
Because she's still here.
To the top 15 of Billboard. I don't know.
Because she's still here, y'all. Okay.
Buying a lot of albums. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, my journey. So I started out as an opera singer.
Right.
I went to Harvard for my undergraduate degree, which is an unusual. Actually, this is my new favorite stat. My pianist and conductor on the album is Benjamin Mine. The pianist, and he would not enjoy that, I don't think. The pianist and conductor on this album is Benjamin Loeb, who is my Harvard classmate. We've been making music together since our professor, the late, great Louise Veskershin, forced me to ask Ben to play piano for me in 1987.
Wow.
That's how long we've been making music together. So we're both listed on Billboard. Like when you look at it, it says both of our names. And right below us, but also above us in 3 more spots, is Yo-Yo Ma. Yo-Yo Ma is also a Harvard grad. So I'm thinking that this might be the first week ever when there are 3 Harvard grads in the top 15 Billboard classical.
That's a big deal, actually. I think that's a story that needs to
Go
be
Crimson.
told.
Yeah.
Perhaps at your Harvard Wood event tomorrow.
Yes, I think they will be happy to hear that stat if we get that out. So I went to Harvard, and then I went to Peabody Conservatory. So that's a much more standard way to become a classical musician, is to go to a conservatory. And I got 2 graduate degrees there.
Okay.
And while I was getting my second degree, I was already out working, and they make that very easy to do. And so I was already apprenticing at opera companies, which is, at least that's how it was. That's how you sort of started. Mm-hmm. And then I did the Met competition. I made it to the national finals. The next day I had my City Opera audition. I got a contract. It was very young to start, very.
Yeah.
And I then was on the road 10.5 months of the year singing opera all over the country.
Wow.
Singing, leading roles in opera companies all over. And because I was young, I could always sort of see the future at the same time, because everybody else was sort of 15 years ahead of me in life.
Right.
And I could see what life would look like. And I knew that I really also wanted to be a mother. And I knew that I wanted to be a mother who wasn't on the road 10.5 months of the year. Other people can do that. That wasn't the way I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I sort of I knew that was going to happen. When it did happen, I did put a big pause on my operatic career. But I couldn't, I guess like Amy Beach, I couldn't stop being a musician.
Yeah. And
so I started my own concert series that I called Performances with Allison Charney. That was in New York City. It ran for 13 years. Mm-hmm. And it was a place where I showcased the very top level classical musicians before they did something somewhere else. I performed on each one. I had 3 to 5 guest artists, and I would interview everybody before they performed to ask them to share something not Googleable with the audience. So not Mozart was born in 1756 and died in 1791, but in this Mozart piece, this is where I struggle. Yeah. This is what I'm trying to work on, and that's why I want to do this right now for the audience. Then the pandemic shut me down and shut down all of the performing arts. And so in the pandemic, I pivoted, and I turned my series into a virtual concert and conversation series called Season of Hope. It's available on YouTube for free. And luckily my older son, Evan, watched a YouTube video about how to video edit, and he helped me. He saved my career. I mean, for real.
Yeah.
And I did a couple of projects like that during the pandemic. And then I thought, recording. Like, it just sort of led me to thinking more about recording. Okay. And then I joined the Recording Academy. And ever since then, my focus really has been recording. And so that gets me to this. And so this is your
formally, I know that you have, recorded with the Art Trio, but this is your formal debut.
As a solo vocal album. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's funny to think of that at
my
age.
It's a hell of a debut. That's a hell of a debut. Listen, why not?
Why not?
If you're equipped with an instrument like that, why not?
An instrument and, a work ethic, right? And
absolutely.
And also, I've built up along the way relationships with other people so that I could surround myself by an exquisitely talented team. Yeah. And that also elevates the whole thing and makes it possible on every level.
Yeah, I mean, again, none of us do this alone. As much as us independent musicians like to believe that sometimes and like to shout that from the mountains, none of us do this alone.
Well, thank goodness, because it's really, really lonely to do things on your own.
Right.
And if there's one thing I've learned over the years, not just doing things with other people, but surrounding yourself with truly good people who only want what's best for you and who are only looking to make the best product in the most loving way, right? Like, that's what I have time for now. I don't have time for the other stuff.
Yeah, no shenanigans.
No. And this, from everybody on this team, the producers, the engineers, the pianist and conductor, the other featured artists, like, it was just, I hate, like, a dream team, love fest.
I mean, I would love to hear about this dream team if you don't mind.
I am always happy.
If you don't mind spilling the tea,
I'll tell you about the team. Okay, so where do I start? Ben Loeb is the first person I have to start with. He is my college friend. And again, our professor, Louise Veskersen, of blessed memory, she was a protege of the great Nadia Boulanger.
Okay.
And most classical musicians at a certain age will claim to be proteges of Nadia Boulanger. And she, in fact, did teach hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people.
Wow.
But Boulanger herself said that if she had to select only 3 students to have taught, Louise Veskersen would have been one of them.
Wow.
So that was my teacher in college. And we had a very strange relationship because, again, this was at Harvard. And we had a one-on-one tutorial every week for 3 years, she and I. And she was exacting and a little mean.
Yeah.
And really pushed me to the end of anything I thought was possible. And perhaps the greatest thing she did was force me and Ben together. And Ben likes to say that I was afraid of him, of asking him, and ever since then he's been afraid of me.
Yeah.
And anyway, so there's Ben.
Yeah.
And he conducts this album is part chamber music, part orchestra, and he conducts the orchestra and is the pianist on the chamber stuff. So he's on every track. And then the guest artists roster is unbelievable. Peter Seidenberg plays on quite a bit of the album, more than half of the album. He's a brilliant cellist and a lovely man whom I've known for a really long time. Kelly Hall Tompkins is the beautiful solo violinist. Kirsten Agresta Copley and Gay LeBlanc are the harpists, who are unbelievable. Alison Loggins Hull plays the alto flute, which is a very cool sounding instrument. Somebody who's a very knowledgeable and cultured person said to me, "What is that weird sounding instrument in the revive?" You're like, "That's the flute." But alto flute is different, and it's wicked cool.
Yeah.
And then on the production team end, the producers, I'm one of the producers, but also the great Kit Wakely, who's also a genius composer. He also has an album out.
Fam.
Yeah, Graham Fam. He also has his own project out now, 7 Seasons, which I encourage anybody to listen to. It's epic.
You're already here. Kit Wakely, 7 Seasons.
don't miss it. And then Christina Giacona and Patrick Conlon are also producers and engineers. Jeff Kesman is one of the producers. The engineering team includes Trey Nagella, and Tony Corelli just did a gorgeous Atmos mix of the album that I'm so excited about.
Will we get to hear it?
Yes. Okay. I don't know when that's coming out, but you'll be the first to know.
I will be the first to know.
Yeah, exactly. I just can't wait for that. And Jen Nelson was the mastering engineer. She did a beautiful job.
Yeah.
The composers on the album, there are 3 not living composers and 4 living composers. The living composers are Mariana Rosette, Keon Ravai, Kim D. Sherman, and Lara Auerbach.
Okay.
And I wanted to, now that I've said Kim's name, that's the 3rd orchestral anchor piece that I got distracted from talking about. And the reason that one's on the album is Kim walked around her Washington Heights neighborhood, which is a super diverse neighborhood.
New York, yeah.
And she asked everybody who worked in various stores there how they would say this sentence in the language of their origin. And the sentence is, "Make peace on all your lands." And she came up with 15 different world languages from walking around her little neighborhood. And I sing all 15 on this album, and that's the only sentence in the whole track.
That is brilliant.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a pretty neat lady.
Yeah.
And a brilliant composer. So I wanted to say that.
That is brilliant. Yeah, no, and yet again, humanity is inherently political.
Or again, like I really feel like, or maybe it's just in a different zone. Maybe there's politics, and then maybe there's above politics.
Well, let's say policy.
Yeah. I guess what I'm hoping for this album, if I could just like wave a magic wand and say, this is how it's gonna make you feel. Which I don't want to do, because I want people to feel however just to feel. Absolutely. Is the goal. Just to feel.
That is the goal of an artist.
To feel
anything. To feel, to have an experience, right?
Thoreau wrote in Walden, if we respected only what is inevitable and has a right to be, music and poetry would resound along the streets. So I feel my job as a singer is to put out music and poetry at all times so that you can have an experience.
Absolutely.
Right? And I realize, this is just one little classical album, as my son likes to say, that tens of people will listen to. It's way more than that.
Hey, number 11, all right?
Thanks, Mom. Yeah. But I'm not pretending that it's anything grander than that. It's a drop in the bucket. It's a drop in the bucket. But what I hope is that my drop in the bucket might inspire you to put in your drop in the bucket.
Absolutely.
And somebody else their drop, and somebody else their drop, and then and then eventually maybe the bucket of goodness overflows.
Absolutely.
And all you have to do is your drop.
Yep.
I feel like right now it feels so overwhelming, all the things that are wrong and that you might want to fix.
Right.
And again, I guess this is where I feel like it's not political. It doesn't matter what your politics are. It doesn't matter. Everybody, I think, would agree that things are not right.
Right.
And you don't have to fix the whole thing.
Right.
Just do something. Just a little drop.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I mean, it is definitely cutting through. Clearly, the community loves it. Clearly, you know, the collaboration that you facilitated on this project, I mean, it's profound. There's a massive statement that's made there, but also it's just flat out beautiful music.
Thank you.
You know, and I think that is, you know, I know I've poked and prodded a bit, but I do think that is a great sign of any good art, right? Something that you can appreciate and enjoy on the surface for what it is and consume and just be touched by it. And then also to be able to consume something and your experience of consuming that is now a part of some kind of deeper, more poignant statement, you know.
There's also something now that you're saying that about a shared experience.
Absolutely.
Right? So if we've listened to the same thing, we may experience it very differently, but we've shared that.
Yes.
It's now in our collective DNA.
Yes.
It's in our brain, it's in our heart, it's in our soul, and we've had an experience together. So even if you're listening, I know, in Australia and I'm listening here, and you know, we've listened to the same thing.
Absolutely.
And that's a beautiful thing about, I actually think, as horrible as the pandemic was, I think that's a beautiful thing that's come out of it, is that I feel like the world has gotten smaller in a really good way.
Yes. Yes.
And so we can experience things with each other even when we're not physically together, although it's much better to be with you here than on Google Meet.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you prefer this?
I definitely do. Definitely. But how nice that we can do the other, and that technology is there for us to use to our advantage.
Yep. No, I agree wholeheartedly. And, you know, now with your experience, now that again the like is out, and you know you are doing some events and some shows to promote that. At some point, you know, this campaign is going to subside, and you know, not that we don't want a like out there everywhere, but of course, mama's got to rest, right? But I feel like the next step is naturally more music. So, do you have any thoughts or ambitions or goals, if you will, I guess about the new opportunity that is here before you now that you are, you know, working with the Waves manufacturing team and such a wide range of artists, genres, demographics, cultures? Do you have any thoughts about that?
Would it be funny if I said, no, I have no ambitions or goals? Nothing. I'm just nothing.
You would sound like my middle schoolers.
Was I supposed to have ambition? Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry. Well, you know, I think it's a very exciting and unique partnership that we have forged. I believe that I may be your first classical music person on your roster, and so I think
first classical vocalist.
Yes. And so I think that offers us both a lot of really interesting opportunities for collaboration, because as much as I am proud of being a classical musician, and I've worked so hard and for so many years building up a technique that is a classical technique, and I'm so connected to, you know, to Louise Viscouchen, to Nadia Boulanger, to, you know, that your provenance goes back through your teachers in classical music, my voice teachers and their voice teachers, and that goes back in time to, right? As much as that's important to me, I also think that this construct of genre is a bummer. And I'm not sure I understand why it exists. And when I listen to music, I hear music. I don't really hear genre of music. And so when people tell me, you know, this is new age and this is jazz and this is global and whatever the thing, even rap music, for example, to me that sounds like recitative from Mozart operas.
Ooh,
I mean,
spill it. Spill it.
I said it here. I just don't see the difference.
Yeah.
There's nothing new under the sun, right? Like I don't mean that it's not innovative, and I don't mean that it's not smart, and I don't mean that it's not, you know, moving forward, advancing things. But we're pretty connected.
Absolutely.
All of us. And as musicians, how exciting to do things together. So I would love to sing exactly the way I sing, not pretend that I'm something I'm not, but with a rap artist or with a hip hop artist or with a EDM beat or whatever it is.
Absolutely.
And just see what happens. Maybe it's no good. Maybe it's nothing you want to put out in the world, but God, maybe it is, right? Maybe we ride these waves together.
Exactly.
And who knows what gets created.
Yes.
And I really believe that. I don't understand why we can't all play together. And there's so much construct around it. There's even classical music as a thing, there's so much artifice around it, and people have such, opinions about it that it's people will often say to me, well, I don't really understand classical music, or I don't know enough I would tell you what I thought, but I don't know enough. You don't need to know anything.
Right.
How did it make you feel?
Right.
What did you think about when you heard it? Surely you had an emotional reaction. And sure, if you've studied music theory, you'll have a different reaction maybe, or I don't even know if it's a better reaction, right? I mean, who cares? Like, did it touch you in some way?
Absolutely.
Or did you hate it? Did you have a visceral, icky reaction? But that's fine too. Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like, that counts too. Because if we're not making music for people to listen to, what's the point, right?
What's the point?
So I think people have a part of it is because it's so expensive. I think it's so expensive to go to the
That's
opera.
a really good observation. Yeah.
And that's really too bad. It shouldn't be that.
Right.
It shouldn't be. I mean, now there's a problem now because people aren't post-pandemic. People aren't coming back to the theaters so much.
Right.
And so then you're sort of in a strange situation where you're just offering it for free. And then of course that's a whole other problem because as the artist, you still have to pay your gas and electric bill.
Absolutely.
So if suddenly you can get my whole thing for free, how do I survive? And how do I keep providing it to you?
Right. That point, that you can kind of make a correlation to how sports at times have, you can kind of understand that this is a sport for the people. This is a sport for people with resource or whatever it may be, and there's certain kind of associations with that due to just literally the cost of equipment and the cost of being able to put that sport on. So I mean, a baseball ticket now.
Exactly. When I was a kid rooting for the New York Yankees, it was not an expensive ticket.
Absolutely.
Now it's like you could afford to go to a baseball game anymore.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible.
Yep. Yeah. No, that's fascinating. So with that said, because we've gone through a lot. We've done through a lot, and I enjoy it. This is my kind of party, just so you know. Are there, when we talk about the provenance of, your classical pedigree, if you will, are there any kind of, I guess, preconceptions that, you would like to debunk for us around, I guess, things that you maybe have heard about how people process classical music or what they presume about, yourself, your peers, and the field at large? I think there are two, just thinking off the top of my, maybe there's more than two, but I'm thinking of two things that people often say that I wish they didn't think about classical music. Mm-hmm. One was this idea that they can't possibly understand it. Yeah. Because they haven't had the education to understand it. And again, I say, you don't need education to understand music, right? Right. You don't need anything. You just need to sit and listen. You need a heart and ears.
Well, and maybe the one thing you need is the ability to sit still for a little bit.
Fair.
And not necessarily, even if you're doing this, you can still listen. But we don't take much time to be not distracted.
Yes.
Anymore. In any way. Even I do it too. I'm guilty of it too. I sit and watch television on my phone. I'm not paying attention to what I'm watching. Right. I can't even focus in on the television for a few minutes. It's weird that that's what's happened to us. Yeah. So that's the one thing. And then the other thing is that it's somehow fancy.
Okay.
And that you have to be somehow it's like high class.
Yes.
It's upper, and that we are all unapproachable.
Yes.
I find classical musicians to be the most approachable people of all, and really raunchy and lewd people, just like everybody else. We do all the same normal things everybody else does every day. Right. Everybody gets up out of bed in the morning and goes about their business. And I really haven't met. Everybody knows pretentious people in everything they do, but for the most part, classical musicians are just down-to-earth regular people who love all the same things everybody else does, and who like to go out and eat wings after a concert, and
I love it. I love it.
I literally last night was sitting with my producer and eating wings and like being disgusting with barbecue sauce all over my hands and my face.
Never.
You know, that's the thing. I think it really is not. I guess that both goes to the same thing. If you'll give it a chance, it's an approachable art form.
Okay.
I think maybe that's my.
I love that. If you give it a chance.
Give it a chance. Give it a chance. Start with a like.
Right. No, I love that. Again, I think censoring humanity is kind of what is necessary, I think, to identify these connections across the board, right? Censoring humanity.
And by the way, don't think too hard about it. If you listen to a piece of classical music and it makes you feel something, that's right.
Right.
Whatever it was.
Yep.
I think people are worried that they don't get it, or they're going to say the wrong thing, or it wasn't supposed to be that, or it wasn't supposed. It's supposed to be whatever it is.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just supposed to make you feel, or not make you feel, but allow you to feel, put you in a space where you were allowed to just sit and feel.
I love that, and I will cap that and kind of put my own spin on that by sharing that early on in my pursuits in hip hop music, independently, let's say 15 years ago in New York City, I would rehearse at the Brooklyn Conservatory of Music. And the relationships and the moments, again, I'm coming into this space assuming that I don't belong and assuming that there's going to be some kind of, maybe I have to hide or kind of shroud my intentions to rehearse in this space. And when you get in that environment and you realize that there's a human behind that desk and there's humans in the hallway, and the music that you're playing in your room that isn't quite soundproof, another human is going to come out in the hallway and hear that and say, oh, that's crazy. I bet I could do this to that. And you would be surprised by just how fluid that experience could be, And so I absolutely have this understanding, but I love opportunities for, just to kind of shed some light on these things that we don't collectively understand about these practices.
I guess it's also just about being comfortable with the other, which
Right.
brings me back, I guess, to the whole point of the album, right? Like, just because it's not what you do or what you're familiar with doesn't mean you can't open up your mind and try something new, right? I mean, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Couldn't I be excited about hip hop as an opera singer? Why not?
Why not?
Or, why wouldn't that be just perfectly normal?
Right.
And vice versa, right? Like, I think we box ourselves in so much as humanity.
Absolutely.
We should, the more open to things, the better.
Listen.
Expand your palette.
Expand your palette, expand your sky, your depth, your range, ride the waves.
Ride the waves and see in rainbow.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's not black and white.
Yeah. We all over the place. We are super existential now.
Shut up, Allison. Yeah.
Allison, it has been a blast. I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. I look forward to experiencing this in real time with your artistry tomorrow at Harborwood.
Also, the Harvard Club of Southern California is also one of the sponsors, so it's okay.
Harvard Club of Southern California. Let me get that right. So definitely looking forward to that, and can't wait to make waves with you.
Right back at you.
Take care. How we looking, man?
Looking great.
Yes. Yeah. That was genuinely fun for me. I hope that was fun for you too.
Totally. I'm totally like,